Earlier this year, I made a big decision to move from Japan to Portugal. And if you are watching this video, you are probably thinking about moving to Portugal or you already made the decision. Moving here has been a wonderful experience, but there are challenges getting used to this brand new lifestyle. At this point, I think the entire world knows about the charm and the beauty that this country has to offer. So today, I want to talk about the reality of moving to Portugal, things that I wish I knew and things that people often don't talk about. One thing that I didn't think about before moving is how old a lot of buildings in Portugal are, and that is the part of the charm. But when you live in those buildings, there are problems. For example, it is definitely not noise or sound proof, so you can pretty much hear everything your neighbor does. And Portuguese people like to honk a lot when they're driving. So if you live on one of the major streets, you will probably wake up from those honking noises. And unless you have the luxury to move into a fully remodeled buildings, you probably don't have AC, which I was so surprised about because in Japan it is very, very common to have AC in pretty much every building. When I first came here, there was this huge heat wave in Europe and it was like 42 degrees outside and it felt like sauna. Even if I go to like a coffee shop to escape, the coffee shop doesn't have AC. So it's like anywhere I go, I was melting. And so if you have, for example, like a small kid that is not used to the heat, that is something that you might want to remember.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
so
Have a
much.
good day.
Thank you.
So in Portugal, it gets quite dry in summer, but in winter, it gets really humid, and the mold is something that I didn't really think about before moving here. In Japan, we do have mold as well because it's very, very humid. I think it's more humid than here, especially if you live near the ocean. So I used to live like 5 minutes from the beach. And I remember a lot of the lantern furniture that I got started to mold because of the humidity of the air. And here, yes, the air is humid as well, but I think one of the problems is that when your room starts to get moldy or when the wall starts to get those spots, it's not necessarily just the air. I feel like it's coming from the inside. I feel like the inside of the building might be a little bit moldy, and that is something that you might want to think about if you're moving here as a family with small kids. I don't think mold is good for kids. So one of the reasons why a lot of people want to move to Portugal is because of this slow lifestyle, this chill lifestyle, and it is really, really cool. But on the other side, everything is slow. So many of my friends are struggling to get like visa or citizenship renewal. I personally got the visa in Japan, so everything was really quick and smooth. So I needed to go to urgency care one time and they were like, okay, you have to wait here for like maybe 2 hours or more. And I was just really, really surprised. I think private hospital here is like the same quality as public hospitals in Japan, or maybe it's worse. In Japan, hospitals and clinics are pretty fast and they're pretty good, but here again everything can be very slow. One service that was necessary for me when I moved to Portugal and pretty much every time I travel to a different country is eSIM. Because with eSIM, I can stay connected wherever I go. Let me tell you a little bit about Simify, today's sponsor. Simify offers eSIM, a digital SIM card that you install on your phone before you fly. You keep your number and you don't need a physical SIM card or a visit to a store. Their plans start from $2 a day and they have a money back guarantee so that you can get a refund on unused eSIM in case your trip gets delayed or cancelled. I like how simple the setup is. All I need to do is to download the eSIM before my flight. When I land, I adjust my settings and I am online within minutes. Here I purchased the eSIM for Japan because I'm planning to visit Japan very soon, and you can buy eSIM 6 months in advance, which is really cool. If you want to try it, you can use my code mako for 15% off. Get your Simify eSIM before you fly. So before I moved here, I knew that Lisbon is not like the biggest city in the world, but I didn't really think about how small it is. So I looked it up. I used to live in Tokyo for like 4 years, and apparently Tokyo is 65 times bigger than Lisbon. Tokyo is actually bigger than the entire country of Portugal. And so if you are from big city or coming from big city like Tokyo, you might feel like everything is quite small. And because it is small and because it is like chill and slow type of lifestyle, it might not be the best place to be if you are, for example, starting a new business, and if you're on this 100% grind mode, you might feel like there is no enough stimulation. Good thing is though, you can take a flight and just go to London for the weekend, or you can go to Paris or wherever you want to go within Europe. It's very easy to go to other major cities within Europe, which I think is really cool coming from Japan. So one cool thing about Lisbon, it's really easy to meet new people and make friends, but people really come and go, and I find it really sad. Like, I become really good friends with some people and they just leave, and I never know when I'm gonna get to see them again. So that's one thing that I didn't really think about. I feel like this happens way more often than any other cities. So when it comes to dating, I don't think it's difficult to meet people, but because it is a small city, if you're using, for example, a dating app or something, I've heard this story where like friends accidentally matched with the same person or went on a date with the same person. So that type of stuff definitely does happen. And plus, because a lot of people are visiting Lisbon instead of like permanently living here, even if you meet someone you like, they might end up just leaving Lisbon. And so that is one struggle that I hear from a lot of my girlfriends. Personally though, one thing that I noticed is that because I am Japanese, and Japanese people are definitely not touchy. We love having personal space, but here I think people are more physical. I mean, like, they kiss on the cheek just to greet and stuff, right? So when it comes to dating, I think that people here are definitely more like passionate and physical. Yeah, it's just a difference that I guess that I didn't expect before moving here. One really cool thing about Lisbon specifically is that there are always new restaurants, and there are so many good restaurants throughout the city. I mean, if you're moving here, consider moving here, you already know that Portuguese food is amazing, but the amount of new restaurants that opened in the like last year, there are always new restaurants opening up in Lisbon, and it's so much fun to try out new restaurants, and that is something that I really like about Lisbon. So this is kind of embarrassing, but when I first moved here, I started to lose my hair and I was freaking out about this. I thought I am just getting older and I'm losing my hair. And I talked about this to one of my friends who have a beautiful shiny long hair, and I was like, I'm losing hair and I don't know what to do about it. And she said she had the same problem when she first moved here because the water here is harder and it is not as filtered as, for example, like Japan. So one thing I did was that I bought this shower filter, and when I took the shower with the filter on, I was like, oh, I forgot how soft water can be. So yeah, I think it's totally worth the investment, and the same goes to drinking water as well. I don't think it's necessarily the water quality itself, but because the filtering system and pipes are really old, it's not as filtered as like Japan or some of the other cities. One problem that Lisbon and other major cities are experiencing is this spike in rent. And considering Lisbon not being the biggest major cities in Europe or anything, rent is quite high. One bedroom apartment costs somewhere around 950 euros to 1420 euros. If you want to live in the building that is remodeled, you are probably looking at 14 and up. At the end of the day, Portugal is not perfect. Lisbon is not perfect. Every country, every city has pros and cons, but it is still one of my favorite places in the entire world. It has this unique charm and warmth that honestly reminds me of my hometown Kobe in Japan. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe so that I can see you again in the next video.